everybody. Happy Tuesday. I thought it was Monday all day. We just had a long weekend, but here we are back at it for episode 14. We're really excited about today because it is assistive technology with Google. So I have here my MTech homie, the amazing Dane Sidonic, who has done tons of work with assistive technology with and without Google. That's been both of our backgrounds in our teaching careers.
Correct.
So today we talked about how we could put this together. Now we do want to preface this a little bit. This episode is really going to be focused on some very universal supports that can meet the needs of multiple students, whether it's just your everyday average learners, or if you have students that are maybe struggling with a little bit of print-based limitations, English language learners, emergent learners, whatever that is, we have some really great basics to help you out. Because we did have a lot of requests when people were first signing up for the May Google Be With You for things specifically for struggling students and for students who were English language learners.
But I think we wanted to add, though, too, that these tools are not just for the kids who might be struggling, but really are for anybody. And you might find some benefit in sharing it with your whole class. Because when it comes to specific needs and tools, you're definitely going to want to connect with your learning coach and other service providers to support the kids that may have additional needs.
And that's a really good point because we don't want these tools to just sort of be attached to one particular kid. The things that we're showing you are available to each and every staff and student in Edmonton Catholic schools. And when we go out to schools, we do like to demonstrate them to the entire class, knowing that certain people will gravitate towards the tools either because they need them or even just that they like them, they're engaging, or it makes school easier. But one thing we do want to point out is that the laundry list of assistive tech. Yes. We've been careful about this in MTech for years because when we post just great big laundry lists, people tend to sort of gather, they just want a list, they want an app for that. And then what happens is we've removed that decision-making process.
Definitely. And the thing is, when you have these tools and kids are bombarded with multiple ones, that can also dilute the process for you too and get confusing. So definitely take a peek. We're just going to highlight a few of them because, as Trish mentioned, this isn't comprehensive. There's lots out there. But you can definitely pick and choose what will work for you. And again, keep in mind that this is meant to be universally designed for learning type of tools as you're watching this video.
If you have specific assistive technology needs after this video, we suggest that you have a set meeting with any of your MDT, your teachers, your learning coaches, and even MTech, where we can help you decide what is the best tool for that student to be able to use in more low incidence situations. So are we ready to kind of see how this goes? I figured we have to start our episode with Read and Write for Chrome. Now, as much as people are like, this again, we still find there's a lot of people out there that A, don't know we have it, and B, just aren't using it with their students.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really like the mothership of all the tools. Yes. This tool pretty well does it all.
It's like the good version of the Death Star.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect analogy.
So we're going to show you not the entire Read and Write suite. What you'll notice below this video is Dane and I have created a self-paced set of tutorials for each and every tool, and it's just attached in our Read and Write support site below this video. But we do want to show you our top 4 life-changing tools. If this is what you show your whole class, then everybody's doing really good. So what we're going to invite you to do is to open up your Chrome browser with the Google Doc, and just to be able to have your Read and Write extension enabled. One of the things you're going to notice is that we have pushed out Read and Write for Chrome to every single staff and student in Edmonton Catholic schools. That means whether they're at home or at school, they have their assistive technology. The only thing we can't force is permission. So the first time you use Read and Write for Chrome, you'll have to go through the procedures of accepting and doing the permissions. If you're working with younger students or students who struggle a little more with decision making, just do that as one-on-one or a small group.
Yeah, that's great advice. And as we work through it, we'll even showcase a couple of those little nuances that you might find.
Awesome. All right, so here we go. We've got a little doc ready for you.
Okay, great. Our first tool that we're going to talk about is called the Talk and Type tool. And what we're going to do here is in our document, you see there's already some vocabulary within this. I'm just going to leave a couple spaces for some new work. And I'm going to look for the one that has the headset. And anytime I mouse over, it will tell me what the name of the tool is. So when I click on Talk and Type, right now it automatically engages the Talk and Type symbol, as you see on the left-hand side, and it is typing everything that I am saying, period, new line. I can teach this in a certain way and get used to it by having things such as period, or create things such as an exclamation mark at the end of a sentence. I can have a new line or new paragraph, and this will definitely do this for me. And even though I'm not really being, well, what would be the right word for this? Specific right now, Talk and Type is still doing its best to catch up with me or to do the things that I'm asking it to do. As you can imagine, for a student that has a lot of, has great creativity and a big imagination, they can certainly get their ideas down without having the barrier of either a keyboard or other things to slow them down. And then later on, they can go back and edit their work from here, period.
What I really love about this is not only that kids are getting their ideas down faster, it doesn't remove the need to be able to still have those foundational literacy skills of editing, going back and looking at your work, correcting punctuation, different things that come out. One thing we will point out is that you definitely want to have your students who are using Talk and Type have some type of intimate microphone headphone situation, whether that's an inline one, you see those in like Apple earbuds, or we have on our Read and Write side a Logitech headset with microphone that we recommend that's very inexpensive. What we don't want to turn this into is that kid has to leave the room or be the back of the table kid just to be able to voice type.
So absolutely not. And that microphone and headset that Trish is referring to is the H111 Logitech. It's well worth the money. It's around $15. Yeah. And I know some schools are actually buying that for as part of their supply list, really, is what they're bringing it onto. So definitely check it out, and you'll see it on our website.
Now, one of the things you'll notice is that even though Talk and Type is built in as Read and Write, it's actually also built into Google Docs. You'll notice that under the tool menu for voice typing, it really is the exact same tool. So if you did need to Talk and Type with a different language, just know that you can actually set it up in over 70 different languages right within the Google Doc. But should we show them how to play back with this?
Definitely.
So let's
do
do
the
play
next part.
button. Speech to text and text to speech really are the most popular reasons that people often want Read and Write. And truthfully, we have to remember you're 30% faster when you're dictating, which is why doctors and lawyers use dictation software, simply because that's better for billable hours. So our students that need to have some of that ease of speed of getting their ideas out, this makes a big difference. So now let's take a look at our play button. We notice here that I can simply select some text and I can hit play.
Earth is the third planet from the sun and the only object in the universe known to harbor life.
What's really fantastic about this is I do have some options when it comes to playback. Now, I just will point out on the left-hand side, you'll notice after Dane was done recording, that's where you're going to see that Google's voice typing feature. This is where you would actually change different languages. But one thing to notice is that when you are setting up your Read and Write toolbar, there's an options menu. And whenever we see those three little dots, we know it means more. One of the things I like to do when I go into options, the first option is your speech. Know that your students can change the voice so they can have different genders and different dialects or accents as part of their voice. They can change the rate of speed with a sliding scale, and this is really important to note. We don't want to use assistive technology straight out of the box. Kids need to know how to customize it, because maybe if I'm reading something that I have more background knowledge of, I could probably stand to hear it a little bit faster. But maybe on a day like a Tuesday after the long weekend, I'm feeling a little slower, it's new information, I have to know I can change that. One new thing that just got released, actually, just last week, Dane showed me on Twitter, is now Speak It is also available. What that means is that I have some options while I'm typing. While I'm typing, do I want it to read each sentence after I'm done typing it? Do I want it to read each word as I type it? Or do I want continuous reading? This is the default that's in Read and Write, so you might find your students get frustrated with it. What that means is as soon as you hit play, it'll always try to read your entire page. I like to go in and uncheck that at the beginning so kids stay in the driver's seat. Okay, so we have the basics. We can see the assistive technology is there, but we have two more tools that we love as a student time saver and as teacher time saver. But it's the wow factor of this whole suite.
Definitely. This one actually is, I'll show my bias. This is my favorite tool of Read and Write because it combines a lot of things, such as your dictionary, your picture dictionary, and even allows you space to do even more with using some of the great Google tools that are attached to a doc. So shall we begin?
Let's do it. So we'll switch back over to our doc here. Oh, wait, can we pause? Yay, I'm glad this popped up. Notice, everybody, I have an extension that just popped up called Move. What this is, because we're jumping ahead, after Read and Write, we're going to take some turns showing our favorite things. A lot of times our kids are on devices. We know that this happens. We have a lot of Chromebooks and things in our school. So one of my favorite assistive technologies is actually an extension called Move It. And it really is just that. It pops up with some basic, no equipment required, exercises or movement activities to take a break from your computer. So what's really cool about this, I can't even click on any other tabs. It's going to make me do, or at least say that I'm done, jumping in place 10 times. As soon as I say done, I get to go back to work. One of the things you'll notice with Move It, though, is I can set the exercise interval. So if you have those kids that need to take that movement break, get a little of that, itch out, they can set the time frame that it actually happens. Or, of course, you can completely disable it so that it doesn't continue to go off while you're doing it. So I'm going to set this for a little longer so we can get through
That's
this episode.
Perfect. This is a great tool as well, just to get the blood recirculated through the body and allows kids to kind of refocus and refresh and to get back at their own tasks. So a wonderful extension tool.
Well, and it reminds you just how much we're on screen sometimes and to be able to take a break from it. So
Absolutely.
I do love this one. All right, back to you, Dane. You wanted to show us vocabulary
My favorite
builder.
tool. So Trish talked a little earlier about one of the adding permissions, and this tool will be one of those other tools that if you've never used it before and you click on the button, it will ask you to provide permissions for it as well. And this tool is called the vocabulary one, just right up here. And part of the reason it is my favorite is because it's going to take the dictionary, it's going to take the picture dictionary and the word, and it's going to create a really nice table for us in a chart, and we're going to see that shortly. All I need to do is I need to highlight each word, and that's the key thing. I cannot highlight sentences or the whole paragraph. I have to be able to highlight words one at a time. It doesn't matter the color that I use, and 3 should be good enough. And once I'm ready and the words are highlighted, I can click on that button, and what it's going to do is going to create a brand new Google Doc for me. And here it comes.
Wow, I love this.
And this vocabulary
Already
list,
done.
yes. And I love this because as someone who's taught science in the past, I would definitely have my students have this chart with them anytime, even just front-loading vocabulary for a unit. This is a fantastic tool to use. And it kind of dispels that myth about Read and Write being one of those tools that are only for identified students. This is something that we can definitely all use and find applicable uses for.
Well, that's the big thing. And think about right now, everybody who's studying for finals and PATs, and there's so many of those content areas where we want kids to be able to understand that vocabulary. But instead of taking our time where kids are just writing out definitions or copying words, now we can use this chart to make meaning. And when we get to showing off each other's favorite assistive technology, I'm going to come back to this Google Doc and show you what I really love that's built in to help kids take this even further.
Absolutely. And don't miss that part out. And we're going to get into the next tool. I think we have you up next, right?
Yeah, we do. So one of the things I want to point out, if you wanted to do this again, just know Vocabulary Builder works on any website. So if you wanted to highlight words from maybe doing some research on Wikipedia or National Kids Geographic, it doesn't matter, as long as they're done individually. If you were to type the words, you just have to make sure that there is a full space in between the words before you actually do them again, because they won't work. You definitely also can't highlight them all at once. It still has to be the individual highlighting, or you'll note that it doesn't work. All right, the one that I want to show you is something that's just a massive teacher time saver, but it's also a powerful feedback tool for our students. You've done a lot of work with Dylan Williams' work, being able to look at effective feedback.
Right.
And I know I've learned a lot from you about that. And I think one of the things that really stood out was that timely and effective feedback and how much teachers' voice matters to our students.
Definitely.
And so with this particular tool I want to show you, it's called Voice Notes. We can use this a few ways. I do love it so that students could give auditory answers to maybe questions, maybe even being able to leave a little note from themselves, maybe explaining something. This is fantastic for immersion programs or second language teachers. Perhaps you want kids looking at maybe this is in another language and now they're leaving voice notes of the translation. But I also love this for teacher feedback. If I'm looking at a bunch of different students' work, I can type out comments, sure. Imagine just being able to record my voice. Now the student has an effective and timely feedback from myself. It's my voice that they're listening to and hearing, which matters. And I saved a whole bunch of time not teaching. A ton of time,
yes. And we actually see teachers or profs, I guess, using this in universities too.
Absolutely.
So this isn't just in K-9 schools. Definitely check this one out because it's another time saver, and who doesn't like a time saver with busy classroom schedules.
So basically on here, what I can do is I could select just an area to attach a normal comment to. This is normally where I would type my comment and the kids would see it. But if we already know that students are struggling with text-based limitations, to leave another written response for them doesn't make sense. But I'm going to go ahead and instead of using the comment button, I'm actually going to use the voice note button. I can now leave a 1-minute voice note all over the page. So as long as it's attached to a word, a sentence, a paragraph, an image, it doesn't matter. I can simply record. This is an amazing beginning to your research. I love how you found some very specific facts about the Earth. I'd love you to extend your understanding to how this impacts the rocks and minerals we have on our planet. As soon as I say insert, what's going to happen is it's going to now take that voice. It's going to dock it on the side of the Google Doc, which is simply a play button for students. When I hover over it,
this is an amazing beginning to your...
Now they have that play button. They can, of course, record their own voice note as like a response. They can, simply just use it as that feedback. It's just a really amazing way for kids to be able to leave their voice in thinking, but for teachers to do the same thing.
And it's specific and it's created to them. So that formative assessment that we talked about earlier, this will allow them to grow in their learning and further their products that they're going to give for you at the end of their topics.
Absolutely. All right, so just remember, even though that was a little bit quick, it's more just pointing out the super amazing tools that are there. If you want the in-depth tutorial video for every single tool in the toolbar, just go ahead and check out that support site we have below. Now, we want to switch gears a little bit because we just decided in planning for today's episode, what were those can't live without assistive tech tools that not only help those students that struggle, but were just amazing tools for the rest of the class as well. So do you mind if I go first? Ladies
you can go first. And just to make, point out, as good as Read and Write is, and it's phenomenal, keep in mind that these other tools have a lot of relevance and have great functionality for our students too. And this is why we love them. Hope that you'll find the same thing. And Trisha's going to do 4, you're going to do 4, I'm going to do 4, I think,
I have
right?
4, and I think Move It already showed it, so I already see, I need to get up and move. One of the things we'll point out, the things we're going to show you are completely free. Read and Write is actually not a free service. It's something that the district actually pays a lot of money for us to have for each and every one of our staff and students. So we do hope that you see the value in that tool being paid for you. But the ones we're about to show you are completely free.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to jump in. So you saw Move It. It is really important to give our kids physical literacy and breaks. They need to be able, when you used to have the popsicle stick activity, you pull it out and the kid would just know to take the break. What I love about this is Move It allows it to inform the student as opposed to the teacher always having to manage those breaks in that time.
Correct.
But I want to show you a couple more. The first one I want to show you has to do with demonstration of learning. A good reminder is that nowhere in the program of studies, anywhere, or the School Act, does it say that students have to demonstrate their learning in the form of a pencil to paper, that we can have alternative ways for kids to be able to show what they know. So the thing that I'm going to show you is probably, if I could pick one extension that I cannot live without, I use this day in, day out, I use it to do things like this, and that's screencastify. It's a completely free web recording tool. It will record face on like this. It'll also record the screen. Students are able to now show the teacher what they know in a different way, just using their voice. So if you do have students who are a little more nervous to do it like Dane and I have to do it right now as we check our hair and all those things, just know that they could actually just talk over their screen to show you a process. What's even more fantastic is they can simply just hand it into the Google Classroom. Now, Screencastify is completely free. You can have up to 50 10-minute videos free every calendar month. So let me show you what it looks like. So if I wanted to be able to talk a little bit about what I learned about the Earth, another option is to be able to use my Screencastify. You'll have to go through the first initial setup with extension permissions as we normally have to do. One of the things you'll notice is that you have the option of recording simply just your browser tab, your entire desktop, so no matter what I'm doing on my computer, or webcam only. That's what you're seeing right now when you see Dane and I. If I was going to go ahead and just record this browser tab, I also have the option of do I want my microphone and do I want to embed my webcam. Now this probably isn't going to work very well because I'm already recording and I don't want to be able to record over top of it. But when it goes ahead, and I'm going to do some recording.
3, 2, 1.
You can see us down there on my laptop. Hey teacher, this is what I learned about Earth. And I had a lot of fun being able to discover that the Earth has layers. I didn't realize that those layers were different densities of rock, solid rock or whatever that is. Now notice in here, I can hit pause. There's inking tools. So if you want kids to be able to ink over top of what they're being able to do, I can also have things like, my mouse tool that's able to point out, do I want a mouse, not a mouse, something that's going to focus things. There's an eraser tool. Love this feature. It's the timer. So you can tell kids, let's only record a 30-second exit ticket. Record, because nobody wants to watch 10-minute videos from each one of these kids. As soon as I hit stop, what it's going to do is it's automatically going to have this saved. There you go. It is already uploading to my Google Drive. We have no worries about student security, where this is, student data. It's in their safe Google Drive. What's fantastic? I copy the link directly right there. So now if I was in my classroom and I needed to hand something in to my teacher, Mr. Sidonik, who wanted me to perhaps play a great online math game for practice, recording my high score, students simply use the add button and they're going to be attaching it either with that link or straight from their Google Drive. So either one of these puts it right in here. So now the teacher has access to those videos immediately, and it's just powerful, powerful learning for students.
This is fantastic, and we've also seen this used for math when we talk about student reasoning.
100%. Like for us to be able to have, there's so many times we want kids to doing things like even a daily journal, very avatar style, being able to talk about their math strategies, science labs. There's so many things that are process-driven learning in school, but we can't capture in just that summative paper project. And so we can really look at how we can do that. So that's my number one. I did show in previous episodes webcam record, Alice Keeler's webcam record. That's also really good too. So, but I like this one because it's both screen or webcam on. Now, another one that I want to show you, because I already had set up the Move It one, is I want to show you a couple of things that are built right into Google Docs that I don't think we realize are assistive technology.
So this is great for using that vocabulary list we talked about earlier, right?
100%.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you two features. Let's say I'm inside this vocabulary list. What I want to focus on is making meaning, understanding what this word is in a truly contextual way. Couple things, just note your students can share it. So if they want to be able to collaborate, being able to have group work and work with other students in order to extend their thinking, this is really important. So they could work on here together. The next thing they can do is under the tool menu, one of my favorite features is Explore. What this simply does is it opens the power of a Google search right in your existing doc. So you don't have kids who are trying to have to navigate multiple tabs, copying and pasting information. I can, of course, search right here, but you notice it's already pre-scanned my document looking for specific things. I could go find some information about the Earth. It's going to find me results from the web. It's going to find me images. These are Creative Commons copyright-free images that I can use for school. It's even going to go look in my drive for anything that I've called Earth. So a couple of things that I can do now is I can simply drag it over. Notice where the cursor is in my table, and it doesn't wreck my table. So I can now pull over the real-life images that make meaning for that different vocabulary word. Same thing applies to web pages. Pull that over, and now it's even referenced and linked to where I got that information.
Fantastic. And this is great for teachers who have older students, you know, maybe looking at Div 3, Div 4, even Div 2 to a degree, to show, you know what, I don't want just the widget symbol or the cartoon symbol. I want to see something that you see in our present day world.
Real life. Another tool that we don't realize exists is this lovely little hidden sign panel to the right. So I want to talk to you. I know we had a whole episode on Google Keep. Google Tasks, I think, is very, very under noticed. And one of the things that we can do is we can help kids be able to create task lists to help them within their projects. So you can see here that I can have multiple task lists. You'll have a default one for your name for your Google account. I simply made a rocks and minerals one, and this was just copied off of a Google Doc that a teacher had assigned in the Google Classroom. Now, as I go through and I check off the things on my list, I can keep track of my project management right here. So this is really similar to that, what do I have to get done in the day? And we used to, laminate the paper, stick it to the kids' desk to try to keep them on task. This allows them to self-regulate and be able to know what they need to get done when. But a teacher could come along and be able to look, where are you in your tasks? This is what I need you to get done over the next half an hour. And
it helps to create and build independence for those students that need it, because it's sitting within the same document. We're not asking them to click anywhere else or go outside of a different browser, especially for kids that have executive functioning difficulties. This is all in one place and housed in one area, which makes learning a lot more convenient, and it gives them a better chance for success.
Well, and I love that you brought up the idea of executive functioning, because my last thing that I want to show you today is an extension that we actually pushed out to every single staff and student as well, and that's Share to Classroom. I think a lot of people think it's the Google Classroom extension, and they use it to open up Google Classroom.
Right.
But what we forget is it's a way for teachers to manage students' Chrome browsers. It allows me to be able to push out a page, whether I want everybody to be on maybe National Geographic Kids, I want everybody to look at a specific article from Edmonton Journal, whatever it is. Or if I have very new learners, maybe they're just learning how to get on Chrome devices and I need everybody to be on the same page, it will actually push out that web page to everybody and sort of, in a sense, take over their tab. It doesn't close what they were working on, but it makes sure that we're all there. So let me show you how this works. All right, so let's say, for example, we're doing a little bit of a rocks and minerals study, and I want kids all to be able to take the volcano quiz. One of the things I can do is, of course, I can assign this link in the Google Classroom. But what's nice is if I want to make sure that everybody is on the right page right now, I'm simply going to use the Share to Classroom extension. When I click it, I know we all know that's how we go open the classroom. But did you know I can also go and see all of my Google Classrooms in here? I can select it to go to all of the May Google Be With You. Anybody who's in this class, so I apologize, anybody right now that's doing something on their Chrome browser that's in this classroom, because it is going to take over your screen for a minute, I can actually push that to students. Now, below you're going to notice that I can push to students. What things have I pushed to students? But also, students can send you things. So they won't take over your screen. You choose what you want to be able to show.
So you do have to approve it first.
I have to approve it before I will be able to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and say push. What that will mean is it's now gone to all of my students. Now, if I want to be able to take this and do something else with it, I'm absolutely welcome to, just within the Google Classroom. So if I want to do something else with this, maybe this was a great piece of learning, I can push that to the students. But of course, instead of pushing to students, right from here, I can create an assignment, ask a question, make an announcement without even having to leave this site. So this is great for teachers working at night.
Really convenient.
So that's mine. That's my list.
That's
so
excellent.
I don't know. You've got a pretty good list too that you want to be able to show as well.
I got some stuff that I think has a lot of attention, especially for the first one's about comprehension and helping to build that comprehension for things where students might be on a website, such as Trish was showing in National Geographic or otherwise. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started with the very first one, that is the Google Dictionary. Okay, so here we are, and I have the Edmonton Journal up and around, and let's say I'm doing some I guess current events or any kind of topics that you might be learning within school, and students are looking maybe at a certain article, but they're not quite sure what certain words are. They can double click or highlight a word, and the word will show up and it'll give you the definition, and that's from this extension right up here called the Google Dictionary. I can even hit the
firefighting,
and that allows me to hear the words. So if some of our students are not quite sure that I highlight the right word or how do you pronounce a word, that will help them to hear the word, and as well as to read a little bit about it and understand the meaning behind that word as well. If I click on more, it will provide me additional information, and it takes me to a whole new page that allows me to get some additional information with the definitions, and I can keep searching from there on.
Kind of that basic Google search. I love it.
Yeah.
I like how easy that is once they install the extension. Just double click, you've got your word.
Just double click, and sometimes you can highlight things. At times it highlights, but double clicking works the best. And you can go ahead and find the words you need. So that's
fantastic.
My first one.
I love it.
Okay, so Google Dictionary, I think a very useful tool, and again, helps to build that comprehension that students are seeing upon any time they're doing searches or otherwise. My next tool coming up right now is, I'm going to switch my screen, and we're going to look at something here called Text Compactor. What I like about Text Compactor, this has been around for a while, but what I love is when I'm working with teachers and how many times I've come across, people over the last number of years being with MTech, and how new this still is to so many people. So it's definitely worthwhile showcasing it today. Now, this is not an extension, it is a web tool, so I'm kind of shifting gears a little bit, but you'll see the relevance behind here. When I open up a web page such as Wiki, and learning about Edmonton is this example, you can see this page has a lot of content, and you can scroll for, well, almost like forever. But what I can do with some of these pieces, I can highlight some of the text, I can copy that text, and I can bring it into Text Compactor. And it tells me the 3 steps. It's really laid out nicely for us, where I can paste my text inside, and it automatically defaults to 50%. But what I need to do here is I need to move my slider, and anytime I move my slider, what it will do is it will take 52% of this information and reduce the complexity of the language here. So great summary tool that will allow you to, or allow your students anyway, to get some of the pertinent information, but also maybe not have being as overwhelmed as they might have otherwise with the full content of what they see.
That's fantastic.
So students can definitely readjust that slider, and of course as they build their confidence or as they get better at things, as teachers, we're going to encourage them to say, okay, move that slider up a little bit more. What else did you learn? What else did you learn? And then eventually kind of work their way up to close to the full amount, or maybe even the full amount.
I feel like it's a really neat way for kids to even just to learn the process of summarizing, for them to be able to see how the program has reduced it down. They're starting to be able to have that modeled for them of how they would also be able to eventually be able to reduce it themselves, creating their own different summaries.
Definitely, and that's really an important skill for them to learn anyway, right? To see that kind of in their work, to be able to take any kind of content that they're reading or anything that they need to research and be able to summarize it for their audience.
That's great. Really okay, I love it.
On to the next one.
On to the next one.
Okay, on for the next one. We have this other website called Rewordify. And what this will allow you to do is it helps to, again, reduce the complexity of the language. And kind of like the title says, Rewordify is take words and make it a little bit simpler for our students when we have, you know, things that might be a little more challenging or complex, or words that they're just not quite yet familiar with. And an example of this would be here in, I'll just take a quick copy of some things in National Geographic. Oh, it wants to highlight everything for me. That's okay, let's try that out. And I'm gonna copy the whole bit. And when I throw it in Rewordify, and paste that in there, is it gonna allow me to, there it is. And I click on the button. What it's going to do is at the very top, you'll see that it has many of the areas are highlighted in yellow. So what does that mean? Well, if I go down to what I initially pasted, the word crouching was my first word. They took the word crouching and they made it simpler and said bending down. And then when I highlight over it, as you can see, this is what the additional
original word.
That's
what
definitely
a great tool for English language learners.
Absolutely.
Students who are just trying to build their vocabulary. Wow.
And, you know, a couple other examples, even in brackets, it just helps you to identify or help to, I guess, explain the word a little bit more in depth for kids. And that's why you'll see some in brackets as well. So a great tool to check out. Now the page can look a little bit busy, but what I'm telling teachers to really pay attention to is basically pasting your text in here. They give you a few tips, and then don't forget that your rewordified text is right up on the very top here, and you can even print the pages out. But a handy tool, check it out.
I love
and
it.
share that one with your students.
Last one.
Last one.
I love it.
We got through a lot of content today. We got one more to go, and if this is great for those people, and even myself, who likes things done maybe more in point form. I don't want the whole gamut of things. I just want like the quick snapshot of things. And this tool, and it is an extension, it is called Internet Abridged, and that is right over here. And when I click on this, and if I'm on again this Edmonton Journal site, what it's going to do is it is going to summarize this page for me.
I love
and
this.
It pretty well puts things in point form that takes what that material was, in this case our front story here about the wildfires, and it gives me the snapshot or the basic information for this. So this is another great summarization tool in conjunction with you know, the first one that we use with Text Compactor. This one can also be a really powerful one as well for your kids.
Well, I really love it because really this is the way the world works. We're not all of us have time like just everyday average learners to sit there and read pages and pages of information. We're looking for quick information so that we can have an understanding. And I love that it pulls that out. That was such an easy to use extension. It was just there on the side,
definitely
ready to go.
And it works just great. So we had everything from read and write, we had web tools, we had extensions. As you can see, this isn't even considered comprehensive, and there's still more that we could, well, probably flood you with, but the month of May is actually winding down if you think about it.
I know.
So we're going to leave you with that today. We hope you found some very beneficial tools for you, things that you can use and share with your kids, and even use for yourself. Don't forget about yourself in all this and saving time and making things more efficient for your own needs in the classroom.
Yeah, we definitely have the goal of keeping all these episodes at 30 minutes, and I think we're at 32 right now. But just know that Dane and I have a full presentation with even more of the kind of the best of our different AT within the Google environment posted below. We have a great list from Eric Kurtz where he has got some different apps, extensions, and sites for students who are struggling. And so you can see everything posted below to go a little bit deeper into this, just so that you feel confident. But just remember that each and every different type of assistive technology we put in place is based on that individual child and what they need.
Definitely. So definitely look at supporting your students with a range of these things. And like Trish said, any questions, reach out to us. We're happy to help.
Bye, everybody.
See you.